Pop's 80th birthday. You only turn 80 once, so you may as well have a good time, right? Okay, this is where we're having the event, the Puget Sound Yacht Club. Here's some balloons to show everybody where it's at. It's on North Lake Way. People don't really know where it is, so we've had to give a lot of directions. But hopefully they'll find it. And believe it or not, the sun has come out today. Even though it was a yucky rainy day an hour or so ago, it's sunny. So, what a great day to celebrate. Let's walk in.
That's Edward, I know, so it must be.
This is setting up.
Must be a Halloween. Yeah. Was it a Halloween or is it July or something like that?
This is the fill display. Not actually completed yet, but that's good enough for now.
They had an 80th birthday party for him. You got one? Yeah, I know. You got yours. Well, are we going to have ours?
Charlie, Carol.
That would be fun to have around for yours. Yeah, I hope I am around for yours. Leave the handlebars here.
Is that on the table? Yeah. Oh.
Oh, that's pretty.
Setting up.
The trees, her big fall dress. I think I have that picture. That's with the car on Catherine and Stacy. Oh. And I have that picture too.
What do we have on the wall?
Mary. Oh, that's me. There's Nick. Yeah. No, but here's Mary. Oh, yeah. Holding cars down at the lake.
Take a little one. A little closer. Front page from the Seattle PI the day he was born. Okay. There's that side. And we'll turn it on later once the festivities are underway. Oh, one other thing we have to show you. I'm going to stop it and then I'll turn it back on. This is the table, and this right here, believe it or not, is the cake.
Nice to see you. My son and Ernest. I think we should put it on
No, it wasn't a surprise.
I called up Thursday, I just checked messages.
Sorry?
I hope you have a nice day off.
A day? Thought you'd fly to Seattle for the day. I get a lot of people
more volume.
You know, the problem with having a father like Phil is you have to dress louder. Now? Yeah. Okay. I said the problem with having a father like Phil is you have to dress like this. I'm Cynthia, his daughter. It's my brother Ed. Over there we have my husband Dan and Ed's wife Allison. And we're going to try to help entertain you tonight and hopefully get some participation too in this effort to wish Phil a very, very happy 80th birthday. First of all, I wanted to tell you that the folks from Viagra are very happy that Phil is around. I have a new advertising slogan. If you turn those masks over, you can see the slogan is, "Be strong, have courage, stand straight and tall." There's a few things that are sitting on your table. There are those masks, and there's crayons, so feel free to color them if you'd like, put them up. The other thing that we'd really like everybody to do is if you could take a couple moments, there's a piece of paper there, and if you didn't have a guest book, but instead, what we'd like you to do is sign your name and anything else you'd like to sign on a piece of paper, and then we're going to combine them into a book after the party. And then the other thing is I'm going to make you work. There are cameras on every table, and I'd like to see all the film in these cameras exposed by the end of the night. And one way to do that is to take a picture of the table. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to take a few pictures of everybody at your table. You can use the masks if you'd like. You don't have to. They're a little bit tricky with the flash. We're going to explain how that works.
I think I need to push this up. You can see in the back the light that will go on. Once that light goes on and the flash is ready to go off, the light's not on and the flash is not going to go off. And then you have to wind it manually on the upper right hand corner.
So if you could all take a few pictures, and then we'll lots of pictures. Many of you know my dad from various activities and things that he's involved with. But very few of you have known him as long as I have, and then his sister. And I just want to tell you what a great guy he is. As a father, growing up with him, we just had some great memories. He used to take us to art galleries and antique shops while all the other fathers were home watching football. This is what we would do, and as a result, we got a really good appreciation for all of those things. And now, as a dad, he's wonderful because he's so young and so spry that I don't have to worry about him. I just know, hey, he's going to be doing his own thing, and that's a really good feeling for a daughter to have. It's also so great to know how much he's meant to all of you, getting all the cards that you sent in. It's just amazing to me to hear all the stories about all the lives that he's touched. They really touched me when I read them. So this party's for him. He wanted a very fun party, so it's up to you guys to make it fun. Okay? So when this is all done, the band is going to get back up there, and if you want to push the tables back a little We're going to have dancing well into the night, so please stick around and enjoy yourselves. And now Edward's going to say a few words.
Well, I don't know how to do that top down. Yeah, I guess I did. This gentleman standing right next to us was one of the very first people that I met. You know, as my sister said, we certainly appreciate everything he did for so many years, being the best dad that he could possibly be. And we want to thank him for that. I now only wish that I was here in Seattle. We could be a little bit closer, but we you know, talk on the phone quite often and appreciate phone calls whenever we do. And again, also, thank you all for coming. It's great to see that you have so many wonderful friends like you. So, this party's for you. Thank you.
That was all really nice stuff, but Phil has a few quirks too. So we'd also like to spend a little bit of time talking about some of these quirks. Yeah.
We have come up with a wish list of gifts that we would think would be useful for Phil. So we'd like to read them off.
For the man who has everything, we wish for him a garbage dumpster.
We wish for Phil a credit card limit.
A frequent buyer card at the Goodwill, Value Village, and St. Vincent de Paul.
More walls for your art.
A tip calculator.
A razor.
Stock in Eastman Kodak.
A son-in-law who's more Jewish.
A daughter-in-law who is less Jewish.
A little black book.
A date book to remember your children and grandchildren's birthdays and anniversaries.
Someone to clean out your fridge and freezer every 10 years.
A new answering machine message.
A test for color blindness.
A fashion consultant.
A yearly trip to the North Pole to hang out with the elves.
And Berlitz language tapes to help with your pronunciation and to prevent unfortunate international incidents.
That's true.
At this point, we have several people who have graciously asked, or since we graciously asked them, they agreed to come up and say a few words about Phil. So at this point, I would like to introduce Dale and Helen and Phil, who are Phil's in-laws.
You won't be able to see that I'm reading. First of all, I want to tell you that this is the same building where I met my wife 23 years ago. I used to belong to a singles group back in those days, and once a month we held a dinner dance here, a rock dance, and the men would bring wine and the women would bring potluck. And one night, there she was. Well, just want to make sure I followed you. Well, we're all here to honor a great and wonderful person, a person who is unique in the world, my friend,
Phil.
Philbert Flash.
Phil.
Philip Flash. Have a seat. You missed the best part here.
At least they're not walking out on you.
Find a spot, Sandy. You know.
They won.
Well, I was sitting thinking about Phil, and I thought I'd write down a few notes, and I reached for the nearest. Well, we're all here to honor Phil on his birthday. He looks at least 5 years younger than his 90 years.
Dale hits 80. 80 years.
80 years. Phil is a man of few words. He's a talented man. Well, he makes those artistic things out of crap. Scrap. Scrap. He's the only Jewish Santa Claus I've ever known. But he got fired for scaring the kids by telling them that he was going to come down the chimney on Hanukkah Eve. Phil has been having troubles with short-term memory. He likes to travel, and he won't bore you talking about his travels because he can't remember them. But that doesn't change anything. He still talks about places that didn't even go. In fact, he talks about places that don't even exist. Phil has a weird sense of humor. He likes to scare people by stopping at stoplights and putting on his backup lights. The problem is, he keeps forgetting he's in reverse. He sometimes holds up traffic at stop signs while he waits for the stop sign to change green. Phil isn't very mechanical. A mechanic told him one time he needed a new set of tires. So he went right out and bought a set of tires, and they'd been in his bedroom for the last 4 years. The mechanic said he needed new wipers, so he went out and bought a roll of toilet paper. And he told him he needed to change his oil. Be careful not to get too close to his beard. There's something nesting in there. I don't know what it is, but last February the 2nd it came out, and when it saw a shadow, it went back in again. Well, Phil's a great father of his 5 children. You don't know? Did you tell me? Oh, sorry. Okay. Phil likes to go home to a neat house, so the neighbors next door keep having to tell him to go home. Well, anyhow, Phil, happy 80th birthday, and I'm very proud to be your friend.
Thank you, Dale.
You're welcome. Take my toilet paper and go.
Next we have Phil's sister, Evelyn Nickerson.
Thank you. Phil's always been a great brother to me. We never fought, we always got along, we always had fun together. We had so much fun. At one time, I got the measles when I was young. Well, Mother thought as long as I was sick that she would treat me to lady fingers, eggnogs, chicken broth, and pretty soon Phil says, well, I don't get any of those nice things. Well, eventually he got the measles. But He did get the nice things, but he also had them worse than I ever did.
I can tell you I've heard that story about 500 times. Next we have Carol Flash, who is Phil's niece and Evelyn's daughter.
Yeah, I can buy sachet around here. Excuse me, I have to do a costume change, so.
Very good.
You're supposed to be taking it off, Carol, not putting it on.
You'll understand.
While Carol's getting prepared, I have a telegram to read. Now that they had arrived. From Bill Clinton. Happy birthday, Phil. Stop. Can I borrow your candles and incense? Stop. I need your advice on women. Stop. As you can see, I'm in a bit of trouble. Stop. Hi. I'm Bill Flash. Will you take a picture? Whoa. This is, I need a family picture.
Mucho saladosis, mucho salad. My wife always said that. Mucho salad. Good health to everybody. Good health to you. Good health to everybody.
As you recognize, my favorite uncle here. I have to have my notes so I don't forget anything. First of all, I want to thank Phil for the inspiration that he's given me all my life. When I was a little girl growing up, he always brought me art supplies. I remember a box of paints, paper, all these little things. He'd come over and he'd spend a little time and he'd show me what to do, and it just inspired me to want to be an artist. And I went on to college and got a degree in graphic design. And I must say, a lot of that had to do with Phil's inspiration. And I want to thank him currently. Since Claire's death, he has been just a constant support to me. He has been generous. He has nurtured me in my artistic endeavors. He has continued to give positive energy to me and understanding. I live in California, and he's constantly calling me and letting me know to keep going and to keep at it and to keep working at it. He has just fostered a lot of caring in my heart for the family and enriching my life in so many ways with his just unselfish, constant gifts. We've laughed a lot together. Recently he was down, which we celebrated his actual 80th birthday with a little party, and two Hungarian ladies, and we just had many laughs together. He's allowed me to cry with him. I just can't thank my wonderful uncle enough for the enrichment that he's given me. And many more years to come, and I'm so glad to see you at 80, so spry and happy. Thank you very much.
At this point, I'd like to ask Marvin Gottstein to come up, who is a friend of his from his bachelor days.
That's a pretty hard act to follow.
Oh, you'll do all right, Marvin. Did you bring Willie?
Did you bring Willie?
No. I graduated high school in the 30s. How good he was? Well, you heard that saying, quick as a flash. It was 1952, and I was about to embark on a television program. Phil took pity on me. He thought my ventriloquial puppet, Willie, needed a satirical embellishment in his clothing. So he and his mother, he persuaded his mother to make a red corduroy suit for Willie. And Willie embarked on a television program thanks to Phil and his mother.
You're welcome.
One day in 1950, Phil, you asked me to drive you down to William O. McKay. I drove you down to my ancient Chevrolet, and you got into a 1950 Ford and drove home. When he got home, his mother said, "What's this car doing in my kitchen?" Phil said, "I made a left turn in the living room." My wife and I were married in 1958 and lived in an apartment on Queen Anne Hill. Phil and Claire came to visit us, and Phil showed slides of his trip to Grand Canyon, riding on a mule. Well, there was a thunderous noise in the background. I'm afraid I fell asleep. The next time I saw Phil and Claire was at the Leonard Bernstein concert at the old Civic Auditorium. And Phil and Claire were married. And Phil was going up to get Leonard Bernstein's autograph. Did you get it, Phil? You didn't get it. Now, we all know that Phil has a thing about hats. And he looks great in his bowler and evening clothes. And my wife and I want to contribute to this collection an authentic Tyrolean hat. You'll have to add the lederhosen. Here's to hiking in the Swiss Alps, Phil. Even at 80, we know you can do it. Happy birthday, and here's your hat. By the way, Nordstrom's is looking for a Santa Claus.
Try it on.
Very nice.
Oh.
Next we have Grace Burton, who is a good friend of Phil's from Temple.
Most of you who know Phil know that he's a very good dancer. I was invited to a wedding not too long ago, and I asked Phil if he'd like to go. And so we were there. My friend Mary Diggs and her bridegroom had promised us a very different kind of a wedding. And Mary's quite an elegant-looking African-American woman who had told me some years ago she had a Jewish grandfather. And on the invitation to the wedding, she gave tribute to the fact that she had Native American ancestry and Black ancestry and some French ancestry and some Jewish ancestry. And she had brought me the photograph of her grandfather and the women in his life sometime before that. I asked Phil if he'd like to go to the wedding, and we went. And it turned out to be, I think, 1516 East 1st Street, and it had once been Dick Hercolm, right?
Yep.
Mazakeh Hada. Which one's Sephardi Vicar Holland? So naturally, being on kind of Capitol Hill and environs, Phil knows every house, every store, every block, every intersection, what was here 40 years ago, and there, and what will be coming up next. So we went to what was formerly Vicar Holland. And we came in, and it was a very mixed group, and we had been promised in the invitation a very different kind of a wedding. And indeed it was. Mary, the bride, was dressed in a very regal dress, evening dress, off the shoulder, and little tiara, and her mother, who'd come from the East Coast, had made it for her. The bridegroom, quite a tall, quite a large man, and he was in like native African robes. They were purple and they were gold, and he was regal. And he came down the aisle toward, I'll call it the bema, toward the minister. And we were in the third row, and there were cameras in the upstairs and all around, and I'm sure Phil is on many of those, and I'll tell you why. As the groom came down our aisle, there was an African individual who danced him down to the wedding ceremony. And on the other aisle was Mary Diggs in her beautiful off-the-shoulder gown and tiara. And she was danced down to the bema. And they met, and the minister pronounced and did the ceremony, and they had musicians. And it was wonderful. It was spectacle. It was a production. And as we were sitting there watching the Native American gentleman and his wife and another friend light sticks and pronounce Native American blessing, I said to Phil, you know, we're the Jewish element, and I would like to see something Jewish. At which, at a moment's pause, Phil stood up next to me. We were in the third row, and he said, Grace Burton and I represent the Jewish element here. And we would like to wish blessings on your union. And that was really, really nice. And later on, we went to the party after the wedding. And of course, Phil knew that was a community center from years ago. Which one was it, Phil?
Mount Baker.
Mount Baker. And so there was this native band was really playing get down music. I mean, the drums were really sensational. And Phil looked at that for a while, and he went out on the dance floor, and I thought, well, you know, maybe the floor is slippery, and maybe I can't. But anyway, I did. And so we were probably the only Caucasian couple on the dance floor. And I want to tell you that we held our own. Jewish element, whatever, we held our own. It was a wonderful, wonderful party. And we went upstairs. No, we were already upstairs at that point. Well, then they came to the toast, and some of the family had done toast, and was there anyone else who'd like to do a toast? And of course, you know, Phil stepped up to the forefront, and he gave a perfectly beautiful toast and got quite a lot of applause. So I wrote in my little paragraph here, Forever Phil. You can count on him to do the right thing.
Next we have Mike. Mike, help me pronounce your last name.
Lipschultz.
Lipschultz, who is going to tell about how Phil inspires him.
We need to get the running picture.
Well, he's getting some more props, so I have another telegram here. This one is from Gary Locke. Congratulations on your 80th. Stop. Next time you're in Olympia, stop by so we can discuss recycling issues. Stop. I hear you have some old junk lying around. Stop.
Hi, whoa, that's loud. I'm Mike Lipschultz, and this is my lovely daughter Ruthie, and Ruthie's going to help me out a little bit. Many of you know that Phil is a very, very dapper dresser, and I've often secretly confided in my wife Evelyn that when I get to be Phil's age, I hope I'm as dapper as he is and can dress as distinctly as he is. And if you notice, Phil often has a bow tie or two, and one night at the temple, Phil was kind enough to bring me a bow tie to show me how to tie it. And we were sitting in the bathroom at Temple de Hirsch, and people were coming in and out. And I'm proud to tell you that, Phil, I tied it in your honor, and I'm going to put this on while I do this.
Oh, good, good, good.
Thank you, Phil, for showing me how to do this. Now, Ruthie, could you hold up that running picture? Thank you. Now, one night at a donate, Phil and I were talking again with Evelyn, and Phil was telling me, he said, you know, there's a run on Mercer Island, and you really ought to really try this out. You ought to be involved. So I said, well, you know, I turned to Evelyn and said, you know, if Phil can do this, I think we can do it. So we decided to run with him that day. Now, as you know, Phil is truly a Renaissance man. Not only dabbling in the arts, he dabbles in history and a number of things. And what we do know, probably you don't know, that he also has contributed to medical history in a great fashion here. So, Bruce, if you want to lay down that picture, just a little bit careful. Okay, just hold the bag for me. Not yet. The first thing is, Phil confided to me that he had been involved in some medical experiments for a number of years. And as you know, some of you know, I've been involved with the pharmaceutical industry. So we were trying to find out what is the genetic factor in Phil Flash that keeps him going to enable him to run these races at 80 years old. So I got a record of the medical experiments, and here's some of the data. Now, the first thing we did, for those of you who can see this, we put Phil in a room along with Frankenstein to see if he could stay ahead of him. And it was successful, but not quite. We still needed more experiments. So then we thought, let's put him in a tank with a shark. I don't know if you can see this way in the back, but we had a shark cage, and Phil was swimming, and he was doing a great job, but we still hadn't found the molecule we were looking for. So then finally, we did, I think we got the right stimulus for Phil. And many of you know that Viagra is a very helpful drug that's currently on the market. But many of you don't know, and I'm proud to say that tonight we have a very special discovery that this is going to be a national launch meeting tonight, right here, at Phil Flash's 80th birthday. You've heard of Viagra. This is Phil Flash's industrial strength. So, it's my pleasure to share your birthday with us. Thanks for inspiring us all. And this is for you, Phil. Oh.
It is.
All the labels and everything else. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes.
At this point, I'd like to ask Ralph Schwartz to come up with
Ralph.
In my Cadillac.
Yeah.
No X-rated stuff, though.
Thank you.
Great.
When I arrived in Seattle in November 1985, I joined Temple de Hirsch Sinai. 3 weeks later, Phil was the chair of two Brotherhood committee at the time, one of which was the Usher Committee. Phil immediately placed me in the position of Friday night usher and greeter. He did this so that I, being new to the community, would have an opportunity to meet members of the congregation. This arrangement worked so well that I was invited to the weddings of both children here and in California. To this day, I prize the yarmulke that Phil's wife, Claire, of blessed memory, embroidered and gave to me. Okay. Phil has made a helper of me in his project of saving soda pop cans for a notable children's cause. On the lighter side, we exchanged cards with each other on our worldly travels. And there we were, Phil and me, the two spry octogenarians sitting in our rocking chairs in the sunroom at Klein-Gallon Nursing Home. Phil began to leave. He tries to push himself out of the chair. He slips, he grunts, he groans, he strains, and finally he pushes himself out of the rocker and begins to shuffle along. With amazement, I said to Phil, "Phil, where are you running?" And may I close with this recitation of the priestly blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace, his most precious gift.
Oh, thank you.
You can also arouse the services because of that.
Yeah.
Right. We received another telegram. It's from the Seattle Art Museum. Hi Phil, stop. Happy birthday, stop. We have some walls to fill, stop. Can we borrow some of your stuff? At this point, we'd like to ask Marshall Lambert to come up and roast Phil.
Thank you. Marcia, don't pull any teeth.
Oh, you're a hard act to follow, Ralph.
We've already heard that Phil Flash is a Renaissance man. Phil Flash is also Peter Pan. Although I knew of Phil for at least the 4.5 years that I've been here, until we connected at Camp Kesher. Camp Kesher Leeds Connection. It was a summer camp, an intergenerational camp that was hosted by 3 synagogues. We really didn't know each other very well, but we were part of the orientation committee. I was the chairperson and Phil was actually the grunt man. We were a very small committee. We had 3 active people and a couple of inactive ones who just kind of showed up on the last day, but they all came out for the party. But when you put 226 people together, which is what the roster was for camp, and you have to welcome them and make packets for them, and can you imagine 226 Jewish people trying to figure out where they're going to stay and what they're going to eat and what they're going to do next? So it was our task to make it as pleasant and as easy a task. I will say in my entire life, in my 52 years, I have never known anybody, I lied, 39 and all.
Disappointed me, I thought 39.
I have never in my life known anybody with a photo fetish before I met Phil. In 52 years, I have never had this many pictures taken of me. I don't have baby albums with this many pictures in them. Somebody rescue me.
Stay there, stay there, stay there, hold it, hold it.
See, he's taking another one. Here, you can put it back together. Somebody, thank you. Thank you. Phil brought over a video to my house to show me about that trip, that 1946 trip. He was climbing mountains the year I was born. And he was so handsome. He had this black hair and these flashing blue eyes. He was Valentino. He was Errol Flynn. Today, he's Gabby Hayes. Willie Nelson. I gave him a kiss. I got enough wool to make a sweater. But it's very good quality wool. I will say, But at Camp Kesher, this man has more energy. I was in bed at 7. He was climbing mountains, visiting with the ghosts. We went on this trip. He befriended a young woman of 22 or 23 who didn't have too many others there who were her age. So he said to me, he said, I've invited her to come to join us. I've invited her. I know you wouldn't mind. I know you wouldn't mind. I said, I don't mind. Rachel, I'm not too sure about. She was fucked already with this thing. He's going down where we're walking along the water, and she was doing fine till he got to the patriotic songs. By the time we were halfway back and the caissons were rolling off, Rachel disappeared. We barely saw her the rest of the weekend. Phil said, I guess she feels comfortable. I didn't want to tell him that she was terrified. She didn't want to come back. I will say, not only was Camp Kesher more wonderful because he was there, every day that he says anything to me, it's a day of something to remember. It's a kindness. It is a gentle word. It is a mentorship for me. It is a joyful friendship for me. But most of all, I see in this man what I'd like to become. And that is a man with a he gives me the inspiration to always find the good in every situation, because he always does find the good in every situation. And he truly has become the wind beneath my wings. Thank you.
Okay, Doug, you're on to follow Marcia. This is Doug Chatfield, Phil's nephew.
I'll just catch her. Chatfield, Phil's my uncle, and two things I'd like to say about Phil. Thank yous and all. But there's 3 people that have really been influential in my life. The first is my wife, Kaya, who I love dearly and is wonderful. Second, maybe I should probably reverse this. My mother came before Kaya and was very influential. But the third is Phil. He's just been an outstanding person, an uncle to me. And I remember one time, and I probably was only about 5 or 6 years old, and we were having a big dinner. And there were probably 8 or 10 of us around the dining room table, and Phil was there, and of course, he wasn't very old at that time. But you probably already at times heard about people that do this. Well, this I saw happen. And Phil leaned back in the chair, and guess what happened? It went over backwards, and so did Phil. But he lived and survived, and went on to other things. But there's 2 things that I would really like to thank Phil for. It's really meant a great deal to me and inspired me. And one was, here again, I was rather young, maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I'll always remember this. Phil came back with a friend. I think it might have been John, and they had been playing golf. And they came to our house, and I think probably had a Model T Roadster, or Model A Roadster. And they got out, and they had their golf clubs, and they were standing around, and somebody took a picture of them. And so ever since that, I remember it, and well, I played golf on Thursday, Friday, and today. So Phil got me going, and I want to thank Phil for that.
How about the time we went ice skating on Echo Lake?
Oh, that was a wonderful time. That was probably about 1950, 51. Very cold winter, and Echo Lake, it was frozen over just before Christmas time. It was beautiful ice. It had no snow on it. It was just about 2 inches thick, and guy across the lake, he weighed about 220 pounds, and he skated around, and when he skated around, then anybody else could skate on it. And then Phil came out, and I know we had a bonfire down by the lake, and we all put on ice skates and went skating, and the moon was out, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful night.
Yeah, great.
One other thing that I'd really like to thank Phil for was, I think I was probably about 14 years old, and Phil gave me a gabardine, double-breasted ski jacket, and ski pants, and skis, and poles, and boots. And that got me started with skiing. And we're still skiing. We have a picture that Phil painted. He painted it at Sun Valley, and it has a picture of the mountains, and it's in our house, and we look at it quite regularly. And by the way, Phil, tomorrow I'm going to call Sun Valley and make reservations for sometime in March.
Okay, hey, maybe I'll join you.
Oh, okay. So I really want to thank Phil for getting me started in that, and one other thing that Phil was partly involved in, but it goes way back for him, and I thank him and my mother for the gene pool that we're involved in. It's wonderful, and I hope that I'll live to be 80, 90, and however old Phil becomes, which I'm sure he's going to be 100. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
100?
Hey, Maury. Come on in. You got some more chairs? There's some. Oh, there's some. Just any place where you can find a spot.
Well, now is the moment that Phil has been waiting over for 80 years. He gets to talk. So we're going to sit back and relax. It's going to be a while. I do have another telegram, Jody. Wait till he comes back. Dan or Allison, do you want to read this one?
This is a later writing telegram. It's from Louis Armstrong's lawyer on behalf of his estate. We understand you're going to be doing a rendition of one of Mr. Armstrong's songs. Stop. Stop. Stop.
Putting on another disguise.
Okay, I'll tell a joke while we're waiting. I was going
Well, it's my turn now. First, I'd like to really thank all of you wonderful, nice people for coming out and helping me celebrate this little activity. It's just heartwarming to see all you here. There's a little story I want to start off with. This gentleman was having a little problem with his marital relations, and he was his intimate life wasn't as good as he thought it should be. So he went to the doctor, and he told the doctor about the situation, and the doctor said, well, maybe that the solution is, why don't you walk 2 miles every day, and in a week you come back and tell me how things work. So he goes, and a week goes by, and he gets back with the doctor, and the doctor says, well, how was your intimate relations with your wife? He says, what intimate relations? I'm 70 miles away from home. I was a little lack of words, well, that isn't true. And just bear with me. I have a little prepared. Let's see. Bear with me. Hopefully, I've included everybody here. So let's start out like this. It happened on September 19, 1918, on Middle Street in Victoria, BC. I came upon the big wide world to see. I joined my sister Evelyn, my senior by 3, as fine a sister as there could be. We moved to Seattle when I was a tot. My memory of Victoria was not a lot. On Capitol Hill was where we lived, and that was where I grew up as a kid. My father had a cleaning, pressing, and tailor shop, and my mother helped him an awful lot. It was a kindergarten at summer school with the teacher, Mrs. Beebe. But in the grades, it was T.T. Minor, still there, as you can see. At grade 6, I transferred to Lowell within the rules, which gave me a chance to work with tools. Growing up, I was a little shy, so selling Liberty magazines I did try. It helped a lot and provided some dough, which gave me finances as I did grow. Here I met my childhood chum, John T. Shepard, and together we had lots of fun. The Boy Scout Drum and Bugle Corps invited us to come. He blew the bugle, I beat the drum. Something was very good for us two. He became an Eagle, and I did too. Growing up was great and fun. Seeing a movie for only a dime. Growing up was great and fine. Seeing a movie for only a dime. Next up, Broadway High School, real big one, with its large sandstone walls, often called the Pine Street Prison. My first girl-boy party was fabulous at the apartment of super classmate Joy Pyle Lucas. I had several jobs to continue with school. Weisfeld Gober Jewelry Store, Puget Power was my next. The shipyard for a while, and then to Boeing in super style. My friends I in contact with throughout the years, Marvin Gottstein, Mike Heck, Harry Pruzan, all are my peers. Boeing was very good to me. Working with such nice people like Bill Lancaster and Bob Reed was such glee. Temple Circle was a young people's club, becoming a boy-girl marriage hub. Here I met Claire, my wife-to-be, a super marriage, a heavenly match, we must agree. First came Cynthia, a beautiful doll, then came Edward, and that was all. Mercer Island, built a home, that was it, no more to roam. Neighbors we had were the very best. Those, Chatrions, Andersons, Nelsons, we were truly blessed. We made along the way, Kenny, Diane, Lou and Ray, Mike and Esther, they are ones that are here to stay. Having a yet to paint, I've joined several clubs. Northwest Watercolor Society, working with Nancy and Dick Excel, also the Puget Sound Group, they have been fabulous. Like the trip to Japan with the Bickfords and Duffins, a real show. And our super host, Mr. Kato. The Eggbergs and Jock and the Silvers, Lyle and Lois have been such a delight, full of charm and oh so bright. My daughter and her great fellow Dan have given me 2 super boys, Nathan 4.5, Evan 7 months. It has been joy having them join the clan. My son Edward, his rabbi wife Allison, and their little girl Sarah, a darling type, a sweet little one we all so very much like. All my family, they are such a delight. On my side, there are only a few, no more. My sister, a sweetheart, and her friend Charlie, we have mentioned her before. Nephew Doug and Kia and his 3 girls, my super niece Carol Flash with a lot of dash that sparkles like a string of pearls. On Claire's side is a different story. Sister Regina, Uncle Vic, their 3 girls, Uncle Victor Barkey, his daughter Myrna, husband Ron, and their family of five great ones, we all agree. Uncle Jack and Fred Jane, Uncle Morris, Flory, and their 4 of L.A. fame. Sister Rachel, we lost some time ago, her family, Roberta, Larry, and their 2, they're here, Michelle, Dick, and Harry, a great guy to know. It was Uncle Ralph, Claire's mother's brother, his wife Aunt Ray, who got the Barkeys here. Their children, Morris, Betty, Marlene, and Mimi, and their offsprings, some living not so near. Also, my newly discovered United Kingdom relatives from Manchester, London, and throughout the Isle. Edward and Veronica just recently visited me across the miles. I have long been a part of Temple Dinner Sinai. This involvement has given me a delightful high. The many rabbis, Star, and others, super educators, and provide wonderful impressions, each offering their own distinct style, one by one. My excellent Temple friends are numerous and many, like Kit, Sally, Michael, and Ricky. How about that? That's timed pretty good, wasn't it? Grace, Ralph, and Morris, Stuart, Susan, Robert, and Janet Norquist, Arnie and Connie, Mike, Evelyn, and my very, very, very super friend, Ruthie. The entire congregation is on my list. It goes on and on. To name them all, it's hard to resist. My legal matters are in good hands with Harry Wolf in full command. Recycling has long been an item of interest. Those that have paid a part of these are Harry, Jenny, Arlie, and Richard. They are the very greatest, I must attest. The JCC Over 55 group are active and fun and super sharp. There are only a few, Jaffe's, Eli Sobel, Bert and Arlie. There are many, many more, and it could be that even one could play a harp. The Mercer Island History Group are a super clan. They include Dolores and co-presidents Bud and Sam, and Ruth, our genealogist, and her friend Richard. The attitude of this entire bunch totally is, I can. I like to be a part of the island activities, and who's my pal, Terry Mormon, Chief of the Chamber, if you please. Some of my latest interest is through Audrey and Phil Shannon in a nice new modern house across the way. They are super nice, I must say. Contemporary art is their gig, and they're into it real. For me, this summer was really great, attending Kesher, a church camp on Vashon Island, site of the Campfire Girls and Boys, and being on Marshall Lambert's orientation committee. It truly was a wonderful experience, a place to learn, study, socialize, and conquer. I can't include everyone, but individually you stand big and tall. Sound familiar? You have made my life filled with pleasure and joy, and totally includes all. I am grateful for all the happiness you have bestowed my way, and hope that it returns to you always and in every day. I'd like to conclude with a few quotes from Friendship and Art. To have a friend is to be one. If you are looking for a friend that has no faults, you'll have no friends. Perfumes are the feelings of flowers. Imagination is a tool greater than knowledge. Art is the unceasing effort to create with the beauty of nature and never quite succeed. Marc Chagall. That includes my... I have another little thing I'd like to do.
We have one more gift that we needed to add to the list, and that is laryngitis.
No. That is last time you got it.
No.
You want to write it? You know what? I love it. It tells his whole life.
Very cleverly done.
Now this is it's a song, and you'll most likely, most of you will have heard it, I'm sure, many, many times. And it was made famous by Louis Armstrong, and I kind of like it, and I just like to pass it on. I see trees of green, red roses, I see bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, my, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. Also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. Watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful, wonderful world. Yes, what a wonderful world. Thank you. God bless you all. Okay, let's have some fun, shall we?
I hope you all saw the cake over. We will have them cut it up and serve it around, but in the meantime, go ahead. And time, go ahead and dance with the musicians. We have one presentation to make, which will take just a second. 1 second.
Of that invitation. Where are you, Jock?
Right there, Phil.
Jock? Jock, would you come up here? Jock, where are you? There he is, come up here.
obviously put in an immense amount of effort to make tonight happen for our father, and that is we need to thank my sister for.
Take a bow.
You all saw this piece of artwork. Very good friend. I appreciate it. No man. Oh, it was fun. It was fun doing it. Okay. You're in the right attire. Just perfect. Just perfect.
What was the
score? Oh, it's just it was the invitation.
The original.
This is the original. Yeah, no, this is the original. Pass it around.
Hold it up.
How did you capture this shot so well? I did. I know him well. It was fun to do.
Jerry and I shoot.
Thank you.